Guys, I guess today is all about franchise accounting, which is so critical as we finish FDDs. Franchisors have their item 19s, and brands are evaluating franchisee profitability. So we spoke about bookkeeping, and now one of our favorite suppliers out there, Qvinci. We're going to talk to Brad Adams, importantly, about how do you get franchisee data aligned so you have consistent reporting, everything's homogenized, you have the right general ledger accounts, and most important, and Brad does a great job of really coaching and educating on this, which is how do you pull in data from franchisees so you can have working dashboards and coach your franchisees to success. So that's coming up. Brad, I love our conversation. It's almost like I don't even need to ask questions, but I'm going to frame this because I'm a big fan of Qvinci. I'm a big fan of what you guys do because I see it, especially for the emerging franchisors. We get questions of, Charles, our franchisees are not reporting. We don't believe the data is reliable. They have the data, but it's not set up the right way to really educate and inform them that, hey, maybe their marketing spend is not sufficient. Their cost of goods sold are out of line. Give us the lowdown for emerging brands, for growing brands, Qvinci, and how you help them succeed.
Well, it's all about starting off on the right foot because, the three pillars of any franchise system is the data, coaching for performance tools, brand compliance, and expansion. It's very simple. You got to have good, reliable data. You got to coach your team for performance and keep everybody in compliance with your rules and sell more franchise. It's as simple as that. And what we do, and we have a lot of emerging franchise brands, is get everybody started on the right foot. Get everybody used to an accounting system, Qvinci, a bookkeeper if you need one, and get everybody, because if you don't have good, reliable data, you won't know it because you'll still have benchmarking. It'll just be garbage. So having those small brands get started, getting everyone used to it, and we did a webinar, Charles, recently. It's called Inspire, Don't Require, and it's about inspiring your franchisees to want to look at data as a shared asset, not a requirement from your FDD, because it benefits everyone. The benchmarking, ranking, all the different coaching tools that we have. So, I say to all small brands and, brands of all size, it's all about the data. IFA, just went to IFA. I think you were there. And two themes I heard. Theme number one is unit level economics is everything. Right. And two is franchisee and franchisor need to create a partnership, not animosity, not big brother looking over, but a real true partnership in the data and all the coaching tools and all the aspects of your brand. I heard that and getting, when I say, everybody says they consolidate data. Everybody says they map the data. You call it homogenize. Everybody says they do it. Okay. But they don't. What they do is they give you some sort of a manual process that breaks down in week 2. And you don't really realize it until week 52. At one of the great Fran camps, and I suggest everybody go to Fran camp in the franchise space. It's a great organization, very, very educational. The first Fran camp I went to, Charles, a guy sitting next to me had a small learning center business, 77 locations. He said, I've been trying to get my locations onboarded and my data cleaned up for a year now. And I said, 77 locations is a Thursday for us. So he's now a customer of Qvinci because, what happens is people promise them that they can normalize this data. And unless you automate the process, it's manual. And like I said, it breaks down in week 2.
Well, and that's what always stuck out to me, which is your point in Qvinci in terms of the technology. which is it's automating and it's translating the data into a common language, a common dashboard. I agree. I mean, those are critical points in terms of unit economics and a partnership, because it's not, for a franchisor, this is beyond saying, hey, we're requiring your reporting, to this is core critical data that's important to both of us. And we need to evaluate the insights and what's going on. And I think that's even more so now, although I guess everyone could ever say that. But as economies shift, as marketing shifts, AI, and of course at FranCamp, we're going to be talking about AI and franchise sales process. But as all of that shifts, it becomes difficult sometimes to evaluate your KPIs and your data points, because certain things, they may be lagging indicators and whatnot. I'm on the Qvinci site now, right? And I think there's some, so I'm on the Qvinci site. I think you're focused on 3 transformations: 1, data consolidation; 2, financial performance across locations; 3, insights that improve outcomes. And let's focus on the last one. What, you know, putting in the discipline, integrating the technology, building the reporting, what are some of those insights and takeaways that brands are seeing that are moving the needle for them, moving the needle for their unit economics?
Well, we have 3 levels of reporting at Qvinci. Qvinci Inquire, Qvinci Interact, and Qvinci Interrogate. Okay, and interrogate means exactly what it says. Interrogate the data, find out why. We talked about the last podcast we did. We talked about small business owners being able to focus on green is good, red we got to talk. Focus on the red areas. Well, what Qvinci does, it makes it simple to go to the red areas, click a button, and go into the underlying data to figure out why. For example, let's say my cost of goods sold is net trending negative, 20% below all the peers. Okay, well, you click a button and it opens up the areas inside the data where you can go look to find out why that's so. Now, our next level of that is just going to tell you the answer as we build out Qvinci's kind of AI capabilities, because our AI capabilities are going to be inside of our firewall. You can bring any data in, but nothing's going out, because I think the biggest problem with AI is going to be security. I hear people taking their data and sticking it into one of the popular online tools. Well, once you do that, that data is all over the world. And so we're building an AI inside Qvinci to answer the question, pulling in data, both financial and non-financial data, operational data, any CRM data, any data you want. Our bi-directional API, we can connect to that. And, we're soon going to be accounting solution, financial and non-financial operational data agnostic. We don't care where it comes from. Bring it all in, and you could find the answers to that. So, I think the tools that a franchisee needs is, the data. I mean, if you have your cost of goods sold, let's say it's down 20%, there's a finite number of areas where that can come from, and you need to go dig into that. And Qvinci gives you the tools to do that, to find out why my cost of goods sold. Like, we have a benchmarking and ranking report. We had a coffee company out of San Antonio, Texas, where one location losing 30,000, the other one making 300. Same market. Well, it took us about 20 minutes with that bank ranking and benchmarking report to figure out why everybody else was doing well and he was doing so poorly. And so that's the kind of tools we have, and we provide for the franchisee to really dig into it, because he can find out how, best practices. What is the guy doing at the top 20% franchisee in our organization? Well, how is he doing this? And you can find that out and use those best practices to help your kind of the laggards.
Brad, without going into client confidences or specific brands, what are some of those variations that you see between performing franchisee A and non-performing franchisee Z? Maybe out of control cost of goods sold, or like what are some of the data insights you're getting?
Well, we can get down pretty granular to the transactional level in the general ledger. So, let's take the example. I'm losing 30,000. The average guy's making 300. All right. So the first thing we're going to go look at is your top 10 expenses. You pull your top 10 expenses up and compare them out, because your top 10 expenses in a small franchise is usually where most of your expenses are going to be. And you can start comparing those. How do I rank in my expenses? How do I rank? We found out this one person was Federal Expressing all of the inventory because he didn't want to have inventory. So he Federal Expressed everything. And his Federal Express charges were, I think, 100 and something thousand a year. That was just one area. You can't do that. You got to invest in inventory, because you buy inventory, you can basically get inventory almost shipped for free now if you buy it in bulk. So you can really dig down into the transactional level of each business. And I mean, there's no magic pill. I mean, I think AI is a great tool, but it's not. I don't think it's going to be a substitute of decision making. When you get down to making a decision, you're going to have somebody there to make it. One of the things, I was talking to Authority Brands right before this call. We're getting ready to do a webinar with them, and we were talking to them about the similar topic, and we said, listen, at the end of the day, everybody else in our business is moving their customer success to foreign countries, going to chat bots and AI and knowledge-based articles. Well, I told them, I said, Qvinci, we're doing the exact opposite. We're investing $1.8 million in the last 2 years in revamping our entire customer success system for people, professionals that know how to solve people's problems in every aspect of Qvinci. And we've almost tripled our team. It raises costs a little bit, but you spread it over 50,000 locations. It's not that much. And so we're taking a different view of how we manage our customers. And when I say customers, I mean both the franchisor and the franchisee, because they're all users and we treat them the same. But we're investing in people in Austin, Texas, and New Orleans that are going to be professionals. Not call center people, professional people with college degrees and who can walk people through their problems and solve it. Because you're going to make a great customer for life when they call you and you solve their problem and show them how to fix it. And that's one of the things. One of the big things we're doing at Qvinci. But I think at the end of the day, to simply answer your question, is every franchise is different, and we try to give you access to the underlying data all the way to the transactional level, so you can dig into why your cost of goods sold is 20% trending negatively. I don't. There's an AI tool that can tell you why, but that AI tool is not going to investigate that, formulate an answer, and then convey it to you in a way you can understand.
No, so I agree. It's getting the data, is getting the data in the right format, and having the underlying KPIs. Otherwise, whatever you put into AI, it's meaningless. It was interesting. We've at our firm here, we follow traction. We have our weekly level 10 meetings. And we're recording and tracking data all the time, all different KPIs. And so I said, let me just see. We actually have our own internal AI system, firewalled, not an off the shelf, but internal. And I threw in all our data, and I was unimpressed with the analysis. It's just reorganizing data, right? So I don't think that's the answer. I agree. And I also think it needs to be live. I think you have that. I think part of building out Qvinci and getting everything aligned also involves coaching the franchisees, coaching the franchisor and management team, building that common vocabulary and focus on KPIs. And then it comes down to the human level, right? Even here, our big AI strategy is to focus more on our team training and performing better. And, I mean, it's less AI, but look, Brad, I'm a big believer. Ever since we spoke, I love what you're doing for Qvinci because I hear the calls. Charles, I wish I had recorded this data earlier. Wish I had the data. And so for everyone out there, Brad's a great guy. He's a fun guy to talk to. And they will be at Frank Camp, which I think's, I appreciate you guys sponsoring it. We get a ton of great feedback, Brad. Trying to share my screen with Qvinci, but apparently I'm having a hard time here. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, so definitely reach out to Brad. Even if you're not using Qvinci, you'll never be sorry for speaking to Brad. And if guys, this coming June, Frank Camp's coming up, meet Brad and his team, and we have the website for Qvinci. Brad, I always appreciate the advice. And again, I think everything comes down to if you make your franchisees profitable, to your point, the unit economics, you're going to win with royalties, a growing brand, and happy franchisees. So Frank, I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you guys at Frank Camp.
Yeah, and if anybody listening want to get in touch with me personally, Brad A at Qvinci.com, shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to jump on a call with you and just chat. I think that franchise is a great business, and and Charles, I really think franchising is in terms of financial literacy and financial execution, we're still in our infancy. I think Qvinci was 10 years before its time, because when we first got started in Qvinci, no one wanted to do what we were telling them to do. Now we got a lot of people on there now, but it really is. I mean, even today, if we got an IFA, a huge franchise was at one of the breakout sessions and said, I don't know how I could possibly get my franchisees to keep the standard chart accounts up. And unbeknownst to me, the guy sitting right next to me was with Neighborly, one of our longest customers, and said, well, I know how. We use these guys right here, and they do it automatically. We're onboarding that customer now. I still think there's a lot of people out there that don't know how great tools are out there, great accounting systems and great, systems like Qvinci and so, I think we're at now where people are starting to really accept franchise performance management solutions. We met at it was a FLDC, Franchise Leadership Development Council, one of the oldest franchises in America. I mean, this franchise is a 70-year-old dance franchise, and they are looking at Qvinci right now for all their studios, and it's taken it's a big cultural jump, because they're going from the old way of doing things, of mailing in P&Ls, back of a napkin, PDF, and then somebody needs to consolidate that data. It doesn't get done. They go to the next month. So if them and Service Master is another old line franchise that now uses Qvinci and has, but that's what I think part of our job is when we educate franchisors and franchisees, is get them over that hump of being afraid of technology, because it shouldn't be. It should be viewed as a strategic asset. So we thank you guys, Fran Camp. Love Fran Camp. I was scheduled to go to the last one, but decided to send one of my new guys there instead. So hope to see you guys in Miami.
Yeah, and Brad, I appreciate that. It's been a lot of fun. And guys, everyone out there, if you haven't been, Frank Camp's coming up this June, and the agenda and topics, it's all about AI, franchise sales, and in many ways, rebooting your franchise system for a new world of franchise sales. But as Brad points out, and we'll talk about it, it's all going to be about unit economics also. So Brad, I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward. And guys, you'll have the most genuine conversation if you reach out to Brad. It's enjoyable. Brad, appreciate the time today.
Thank you, Charles. Hope to see you soon.